This program today, I'm going to talk about what certified legal nurse consultants charge attorneys. And basically today, we're going to be talking about money. If you have to make that decision, is legal nurse consulting for me or it's not for me, it pays to understand 4 points. First, I think it's important that you understand what certified legal nurse consultants charge attorneys. Second, it's important to understand how to negotiate fees with confidence. Third, it's important to understand what attorneys really think about you if you go out there and charge bargain fees. And finally, it's going to be important to understand about increasing fees. So let's talk first about what certified legal nurse consultants charge attorneys. We are basically training you in the CLNC certification program to be an independent consultant. And there's 2 ways that you can interface with law firms and insurance companies. One is as a consulting expert where you're working primarily behind the scenes. And then the second way is as a testifying expert where you're actually testifying. And the hourly fee rate is going to be different whether you're consulting as a consulting expert or you're serving as a testifying expert, or another term that we use interchangeably for that is expert witness. Now, consulting experts, they're going to charge usually $125 to $150 per hour. If you were to go out there and let's say charge $100 per hour for your time, you would be severely underpricing yourself. So even for a beginner, it's $125 to $150 an hour. And this applies to any geographical area that you live in. It doesn't matter the state. 2 of our most successful legal nurse consultants, Susan Schaub lives in Montana, and Jane Hurst lives in rural Ohio. And they're charging at these rates of $150 and even a little bit higher. So again, it doesn't matter if you live in an urban area or a rural area, this would be the going rate. Now, some advanced practitioners, let's say you're a nurse practitioner or maybe you're a CRNA, you might even charge a little bit higher. For example, you might start at $175. And then when we surveyed practicing CLNCs, the more advanced certified legal nurse consultants, they could be easily charging $175 an hour. Some were charging $200 and even slightly higher than that. So as a consulting expert, $125 to $150 an hour. As a testifying expert, the actual hourly rate is going to be a lot higher, and that usually ranges anywhere from $250 an hour to $400 an hour. And you might ask that question, why does an expert witness charge a higher rate than somebody who's consulting with that attorney behind the scenes? And so I'm going to ask you a question back, and that is whether you're even interested in testifying. So if your answer is yes, I'll testify, I love a challenge, go ahead and type that in. If your answer is no, I'd never testify, I'll just stay behind the scenes, go ahead and type in no. And if your answer is it depends, for example, maybe it depends on the case, it depends on whether that case matches my experience, then go ahead and write it depends. Okay, so far I'm seeing more no's than yeses, and maybe more yeses than I even normally see in our live CLNC certification program. But usually it's a supply and demand thing. There's more people willing to work behind the scenes with attorneys than are willing to actually testify. And so usually any healthcare provider who's willing to put themselves out there, testify in deposition or testify in court, they're going to be in a strong position to really charge much higher rates than somebody who's just working with that attorney behind the scenes. Now, we said that as a consulting expert, you would charge $125 to $150 an hour, and you would charge that same rate for different attorneys within the same law firm. Obviously, if John and Mary work together and they're talking about you as a consultant, Mary might get upset if John is getting a lower rate. So within the same law firm, you're always going to keep that fee the same. But for a different law firm, this is where you can be bold and you can charge higher rates and different rates for different law firms. So as you get busy, maybe you've got 2 law firms that you're working with at $125 an hour, and you've got these 2 law firms that are sending you consistent and very steady kind of business, and you're staying, pretty busy. Well, the 3rd law firm, you may say, okay, I'm going for $135 or I'm going for the $150. So you don't have to charge the same hourly rate for different law firms. There, you can be as bold as you want. And again, usually people are going to charge higher as they need the business less and less. Now, let's talk about how do these fees stack up against your nursing salary. The average RN salary or wage is $33 an hour. So in contrast, a CLNC is charging, let's say, $125 an hour. That's 4 times higher. So the way to think about this, and this is one of the things when I first started working as a consultant that I began to appreciate, was you're going to have to work fewer hours to match that nursing salary. So for every 3.75 hours that you work as a registered nurse, you really only need to consult 1 hour as a CLNC consultant. So you're working fewer hours for the same amount of revenue. So we've talked about what certified legal nurse consultants charge. Let's talk about the key to negotiating fees. Type in, if you would, I just kind of want to get a little poll here, whether you believe $125 to $150 is too much, too little, or just right. Okay, so almost unanimous, just right. Somebody, congratulations, you're saying that it's too little. And I think so far there's only one person that's saying that, it seems a little high. And I see somebody saying it depends upon the case. And one of the things that I'm going to recommend is at whatever hourly rate you set your fee at, your fee is your fee. So for me, it's not going to depend on the case. It's not going to depend on my activities on the case. So whether you're sitting in the attorney's office discussing the case, or writing up that report, or doing research, or traveling to the attorney's office, typically the hourly rate's going to be the same. Whether it's a complex case or a simple case, the hourly rate is going to be the same. But remember, where you cash in on those complex cases is you're actually going to be spending more time in those cases than on the simpler types of cases. All right, so let's talk about the key to negotiating. I've been in this business now 34 years. I've been working with registered nurses this entire time. Not only have I trained registered nurses, but I've been subcontracting with registered nurses. And I will tell you that the universal key to negotiating is believing in yourself and knowing what you have to offer. This is the key. Now, for me, believing in myself, what really helped me was to kind of put into context what these MDs are charging. So the MD experts that work with the attorneys, typically they charge anywhere from $750 to $1,000 an hour. And some, if we're talking about a reputable neurosurgeon, could be charging $1,500 an hour or more. So you're definitely a bargain in comparison. And I think it helps to kind of have that perspective, because a lot of times if a registered nurse is not accustomed to serving in a consulting role, that fee may seem a little bit high. But when you think about what these MDs charge, it helps you to realize you are truly a bargain. Also, attorneys, they have shared this with me and with other CLNCs for as long as I've been in this business, that you're going to be more detailed oriented, and you're going to pick up on those things that the MD misses. And it's not so much because you definitely know more medicine than that MD, but it's because you're the most thorough reviewer of the medical record on that litigation team. And so when you consider the fact that you're actually going to identify things in an electronic medical record that the MD misses, that adds huge value to the case, and it obviously adds huge value to the attorney using you. I'm often surprised when RNs tell me that they had no idea that they could charge $150 an hour. This is not a lot of money for an independent consultant. Again, one of the things that really helped me, and I want you to get out there and start paying attention. Pay attention to what other consultants in other industries charge. Pay attention to what it costs to get a massage. Pay attention to what it costs to take your car to the repair shop, to bring in a plumber. And I think the more that you begin to see what consultants, independent consultants charge, you'll see that this is very, very reasonable. Now, you have to be comfortable though with money in order to negotiate effectively. I think that's a big key. And you know, nurses, none of us got into nursing with an intention to earn big bucks or with that goal to earn a lot of revenue. That wasn't the motivation for getting into nursing. We all got into nursing because we wanted to make a difference, right, in people's lives and in their health status. So I think registered nurses, just by the nature of who we are, our DNA and how we're structured, we have kind of an interesting relationship between that stethoscope around our neck and money. Now, for me personally, that relationship with money was compounded by the fact that I was raised Catholic. And so when I first started earning money as a certified legal nurse consultant, I actually at first started to feel like a little bit guilty, you know, like, okay, if I earn too much money, maybe I'm going to go to hell, you know. Obviously, I've recovered. I'm a recovering Catholic, you know, and I recover from that ridiculous mindset. But I think it's important to get in touch with that. You know, if you believe that there's something, you know, dirty about money or about earning money, money is neutral. It really is. And if you believe that, hey, you know, it's not neutral and there's something dirty about having money, then the beauty of owning your own business is you can give as much of the money that you earn away to all of those causes that you care about and to the people within your family that you care about. And so you can grace the world and the people around you with that. So get in touch with that, because that can cause you, not even knowing it, to go out there and underprice yourself and not really put yourself out there as a professional consultant. Another negotiation strategy is to set your fee and stick with it. And, you know, especially one of the strategies that we teach is you say your fee, you stop there, and you get quiet. And even if the attorney comes back and says you're expensive, you don't even comment. Because for me, what I've noticed a lot of times, if I've had an attorney say you're expensive, it's almost like they're processing in their head, okay, man, that's expensive. But then they just move on and go, hey, I know a case that I really want you to get started on. So you set your fee, you say it, you stop there, and then you allow the attorney to absorb that. And I'll share with you kind of a fun example. With our VIP pros, we exhibit at national legal conferences. And so one of the certified legal nurse consultants, brand new, she's talking to an attorney, and the attorney asks, what's your fee? And her response, she quotes $150 an hour. And then you could kind of see her whole demeanor. She was very insecure. And it was like that insecurity took over. And she started to say, if you send me a lot of cases, and before she could utter the rest of the sentence, I'll lower my fee, the attorney interrupted and said, 150 is fair. Now, to her credit, she didn't say another word. She just shut up. But a lot of times we let that insecurity that we feel cause us to overtalk or cause us to say dumb things to these attorneys. So you want to get in there, do that homework that you need to do to confidently state your fee and stick to it. Now, in the CLNC certification program, we're not just going to say this is what you charge. We're trying to teach you how to interview with these attorneys, what to say, what not to say, how to develop your USP, your unique selling position, how to quote your fee with confidence, and the specific interview strategies that you need to use. Now, as to negotiating, I can tell you being a bargain consultant is not a negotiation strategy. Basically, attorneys know that somebody who's underpricing themselves, who's that bargain legal nurse consultant, actually could cause that attorney more money in the long run. You know, I've had so many CLNC consultants tell me that they're working with an attorney who describes to them someone they've previously used who did charge lower fees, but somebody who wasn't trained as a certified legal nurse consultant and somebody who was basically producing an inferior work product. That's actually more expensive than the CLNC consultant who's charging $125 or $150 an hour. Because remember, these attorneys, they have to win these cases. On the plaintiff side, they don't even make any money if they don't win. On the defense side, while they're still paid by the insurance company to defend the case, they could lose a contract with an insurance company if they have too many losses at trial. So in our CLNC certification program, we're not just recommending, okay, you go out there and you charge $125 an hour. We're teaching you how to develop the quality work product to match that fee so that the attorney gets that, yes, even at $125 or $150, I, the attorney, I'm getting a bargain. So if I'm talking to an attorney and an attorney says, Vicki, you're expensive, I know better because I know what I'm able to produce for that attorney. What's expensive is that nurse who underprices herself because he or she is not properly trained and they muddle around, they don't know how to identify the proper issues, they don't know how to communicate to the attorney, they don't know how to produce the quality work product. That's expensive. Now, once an attorney gets your report, you never want to hear you're too expensive. You want the attorney's reaction to be more like, man, I got a bargain here. This work product is so strong and it's going to help me so much. So before they see your work product, if they say you're expensive, I would disregard that. After, I'd pay attention and I'd want to understand what is it am I not doing to make this attorney feel like they're getting a bargain. I mentioned Susan Schwab from Montana. Well, living in Montana, you know, where there aren't as many attorneys in the US, she started out and she decided she was going to start out at about $100 an hour, and she underpriced herself and she was not getting the business. She shared that it's only when she increased her fee to $150 an hour that her business began to take off. Now, I know this sounds kind of counterintuitive, but there really is something to this, that when you underprice yourself, there's the perception that you don't really know what you're doing. Whereas when you charge at the rate that we're talking about, now the attorney, there's that assumption, okay, you know what you're doing. There's that perception that you produce a quality work product or you would not be charging that amount. Another thing that really helped me in negotiating with attorneys and really negotiating fees was recognizing that there's 1,819,134 attorneys out there. So for me, it was a milestone moment when I said, you know what, Vicki, it's okay if that one attorney says no, because no single attorney is going to make or break my business. But if I underprice myself, or if I let one attorney get in my head, that could make or break my business. So it's okay to walk away from a deal. It's okay if an attorney says you're expensive, because if that one attorney says you're expensive, there's 1,819,133 more attorneys out there. I also think from a negotiation standpoint, the more detached you are from closing a deal with any single attorney, the more comfortable you're going to be with negotiation. So again, it's okay if an attorney says no. Now, one of the things over the years, again, I've been in this business now for 34 years, that I can pretty much tell you always want to be careful with is, anytime every attorney says your fee is reasonable or your fee sounds fine, if you're getting 100% price acceptance, then something's not right. In other words, you're probably underpricing yourself. So you don't want 100% price acceptance any more than you want 100% price rejection. And remember, if you're getting 100% price acceptance, that means you are underpricing yourself, and that means you're leaving money on the table that you're never going to get back. Also, remember we said there's 1,800,000 plus attorneys. You only need 2 to 5 attorneys who are sending you steady, consistent business to keep you busy full time. So most of the CLNC consultants that we've surveyed pretty much tell us 2 to 5 keep them busy full time. And that's because they're establishing a relationship with these attorneys in a very intense way. And so it's almost better to have that kind of relationship than to try and have 50 attorneys that you're consulting with. And that's why you can afford to be as selective as they potentially can afford to be. Now, in the CLNC certification program, we do teach you how to negotiate with attorneys. We teach you how to avoid underpricing yourself. Again, how to negotiate with power, how to stress your USP, your unique selling position. If you participate in the executive or VIP levels, the apprenticeship, the marketing apprenticeship, you're actually developing your USP. We're giving you feedback on that. You'll be able to communicate and articulate why is your RN experience relevant. You can talk to a products liability attorney in a way that you can talk to a med mal attorney and they get that you're relevant to them. That's what we're trying to teach you, is not just to tell an attorney, here's my fee, but to let them appreciate the value that you bring to the table and how you can help them to win their position in these cases. Now, another aspect of fees is increasing fees. And the beauty of increasing fees, even if it's just 2% a year, it does start to add up over time. I will tell you that for me was one of the hardest things I ever had to do when I first started. I know, again, it's that nursing insecurity, because we kind of feel like, okay, if I increase my fee, then I might lose that attorney's business, right? That attorney might stop using me. And I remember with one of my really big clients, I fretted over announcing a fee increase. And I went in there, I'm in his office, I'm practically apologizing for increasing my fee. And he looked at me and he says, "Vicki, you have to make a living too." And that really resonated with me, because I went home and I thought, okay, how much money am I leaving on the table with this attorney and with other attorneys that I'm consulting with? And that day I vowed that I would consistently, annually increase my fee. Small increments, I'm not talking anything big. In fact, when we surveyed certified legal nurse consultants, basically the average fee increase is only 2 to 5% a year. So you have to just systemize it, don't even think about it, and you just do it. I can promise you, if you lose an attorney over a 2 or 3% increase, there's something else going on in that relationship. Now, another way that, or another criteria for increasing, is when you're overloaded. One of my favorite mentoring requests is, okay, Vicki, I've got too much business, what do I do? So I will basically say, okay, you've got two options here. First, and this is my favorite option, go ahead and work with subcontractors, and then that way you're actually making money off of them. And subcontracting is something that we teach in the CLNC certification program, you know, how to go about it, how to pay your subcontractors. But that's really kind of a sweet spot when you're not only making money on your hours, but on other people's hours as well. And another option that I offer is if you're overloaded, then any new attorney that you're meeting or interviewing with, this is the time to really be bold. So if you're charging $150 an hour, go ahead, charge $175 an hour. And if you don't get the business, you're probably okay with that. Now, in the CLNC certification program, we're going to teach you how to systemize fee increases, and we're also going to teach you how to subcontract so that you're leveraging other people's time and talent to your advantage. I'd like to just close with a favorite story of mine. There's a woman, and she's strolling along the street in Paris when she spotted Picasso sketching at a sidewalk cafe. And the woman asked Picasso if he might sketch her and charge accordingly. Picasso obliged. In just minutes, there she was, in original Picasso. "What do I owe you?" she asked. 5,000 francs, he answered. "But it only took you 3 minutes," she politely reminded him. "No," Picasso said, "it took me all my life." Remember, when you walk into an attorney's office, you're bringing your entire nursing life plus the CLNC certification training to the table. When you remember that, it's going to be easy to represent yourself as the business person that you're capable of becoming, and to represent yourself in charging fees that really match your expertise and what you're able to bring to that attorney. Thank you for spending the time here today, and whatever career path you choose, great success to you. Thank you.